There are shows with psychics,
And there are shows with doctors.
but there's no show like The Psychic and the Doc.
Your practical paranormal power unleashed.
This show synthesizes the talents of world-class medium Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer,
And street smart spiritualist, behavioral psychologist, Dr. Pat Vasili. All subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Inspiration, insight.
action, and fun as Mark Anthony connects callers with loved ones in spirit.
In tandem with Dr. Pat's fresh, no nonsense, street smart, intuitive insights. And she is hilarious.
Extraordinary problems
Require extraordinary solutions, which may come from this side
or the other side. This is The Psychic.
and the doc. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody, I want to welcome you to a special edition of The Psychic and the Doc Show. And I got to go change, I have to go change my sweater color. Because it's not the Easter color.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like pink or yellow
I
or
gotta
robin's
go.
egg blue.
I gotta go in the other room and I gotta go get something. I gotta do something different here. I'll do that during break. But because the shows today is about Rise Up. And we decided to pick that theme. But I want to say to everybody that's calling in, we're going to talk for a really little amount of time right now, because we know all of you are waiting. We know this is like super important. And what we want to say is this. Mark, each of us have gone through, I don't know, let's call them difficult times. Let's not. But we've had a moment. I like to say we've had a moment. Even today, I had a moment today. And then there were moments yesterday. There's like a whole lot of moments. But when we think about these things, we have to call on a different energy to rise up. Mark, what is your sense of that?
That's absolutely correct, Dr. Pat. Rise up means so many things in so many ways. Plus, this time of year, people of the Christian faith, the resurrection is rising up. And whether or not you believe it, is certainly an important lesson of light overcoming darkness, rising up from the disasters and the pain of life. For our Hindu friends, it's also this week is Holi, which is a very colorful festival where people go out in public and get pelted by all sorts of colors, and it's a real positive thing. And this time of the year is also equated with a lot of bright colors. That's why Dr. Pat's saying, hey, she needs to go get different colors on, because colors are a vibrational frequency, and brighter colors, what we call the happy colors, pastels, those type of things, are a higher vibration. So there's a lot to the concept of Rise Up. And that's one of the reasons Dr. Pat and I do this show, is to help people that are in that pit, that are feeling lonely, grief-stricken. Maybe there's no one else that you feel you can talk to. That's why we're here. We're here to help all of you rise up.
Yeah. And I want to make a note. Mark and I next week, of course, we have other shows we're planning, but I got to tell you all about this. April 8th. Now, that is a total eclipse of the sun. You remember that song, Total Eclipse of the Sun? Like that's like really old school.
Yeah, I remember that song. Yeah.
I remember, right?
Total eclipse. A total eclipse of the heart.
Oh, okay. I made it
whatever, but it's the same thing. Yeah.
but that total eclipse of the heart was taken after the total eclipse, the idea of a solar eclipse, because they're so rare, and so this April, like 4/8/24, and for all y'all numerology people, come on and look at that number, 4/8/2024. Okay, what are we talking about? 4/8 and then 8. This is not just an eclipse. It has so much meaning. It's a spectacle. People are traveling to see this. And this is all part of the energy that you and I are talking about today, Mark. It's that energy where we're trying to, and we are working on building that excitement back in our lives. Now, for you, you're traveling everywhere. What's it like to be out there in front of people again?
It's awesome. I love I love connecting with people, being on an audience and being able to just look people in the eye and feel the feedback. And I'll be at the New Living Expo between April 19th and 21st in San Rafael, California. Then the weekend after that, I'll be at the Unity of Tampa for the Edgar Casey Field Conference on Reincarnation. And then May 3rd through the 5th, and I'm speaking on May the 4th, as in May the 4th be with you, at the Edgar Casey Reincarnation Summit. So those are just three of the things I have coming up in the next month. But, like Dr. Pat said, that energy of being before a live audience. But the thing is, that energy, both Dr. Pat and I feel that when people call in to the show, because it may not be, we're not talking, we are talking to a large audience, but when we have a caller, our attention is focused on that one person. Dr. Pat, you got muted.
One of the things I want to say to everybody about this, there's so much that we're going to be talking about in the next month, in the month of April. By the way, April 1st is one of my favorite days ever. But there's a lot we're going to talk about because there's a lot of shifting and a lot of energy. And we're starting to see people really come into their own. And I think, Mark, that's what you've been talking about. You're walking out there in front of people on stage. You're doing things that perhaps you hadn't done in several years. And that's part of what it means to rise up. Of course, we're talking about Easter, but even beyond that, there's an energy that has to do with what does it mean to rise up. And when we do that, the universe responds in kind. And I just want to be really clear about this, because sometimes, Mark, folks think we're talking about bodaciously awesome, high spectrum goals.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, for me in my life, there have been certain times in my life where rise up meant get up and make sure you take a shower. Then there was just get up. Then there was just, I can't remember the last time I took a shower. Now, what am I trying to say? I'm not talking about hygiene here. I'm talking about times in our lives where we need to get a little help. That's what this show is about.
Yes. And two things I want to say about that.
Okay.
I was just at the Sedona Ascension Retreat in Arizona, and Dr. Pat, Rocky and I were floored at how many people came up and said, I listen to you and Dr. Pat every Thursday. I had some lady come up and hug me and go, God bless you for the psychic and the doc. It really helps me. And that, let me tell you, that is so touching to hear that. And for people who are in a profound state of grief or depression, what Dr. Pat just said is very profound. Sometimes just getting out of bed, taking a shower, and getting dressed is an accomplishment, because depression, no matter how it's caused, but especially when it's caused by the death of a loved one, is so draining. It makes you don't even want to be alive, much less get out of bed. So some days getting up out of bed and getting dressed is an accomplishment.
Well, look, a lot of good things are coming. So for those of you that just tried to send me a text in, we're going to do a show on the eclipse next week. We're going to talk more about it as we go forward. But yes, Einstein's theory of relativity was proven during an eclipse. So I just want to be very clear about that. By Arthur Eddington, was the one who did that. There are things we'll talk about, but today it's all about you. Sierra, let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to go right to the phone so that we make sure we get as many calls in as we can. Let's take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back.
For provoking conversations between not one, but two psychic life coaches, tune into Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures. Unedited and unfiltered talks with Polly and Kristen, because life is unedited. We discuss spirituality, promising a generous amount of laughter, and help callers work through their questions. Connect with us by calling 1-800-930-2819 every second and fourth Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.